Okay, so thread lifts. If you watch social media, you read certain articles, you're like, wow, will these survive even one more year? They seem terrible. I'm going to give you my experience from traveling the world over 23 countries this year. I was at over 18 congresses. I have no real vested interest. If threads were gone tomorrow, I'd still do great. I have 20 other things to do, but I'll tell you what's happening globally and in the local market, North America. Okay. So PDO threads, there's many different materials. I'm going to talk about, let's go through maybe three or four benefits. Let's go through 3 or 4 cons, a couple myths. I'll show you an article at the end real quick, and then we'll wrap up with my thoughts. So let's go through a positive. Number one, that bodes very well for them continuing, is the fact that the results are instant. No matter what, we have a younger generation coming in and they want now, and they want it in 30 minutes. That would be the second thing. It's a very quick procedure. So for me, if I'm doing 12 lifting type of threads, that's about a 30-minute procedure, and that would be a thread lift. There are smooth threads, which of course are different than the lifting threads. Let's look at sales. Both the US and the global market, booming. Threads have never sold more. So even though you see people talk down and they might not last, their dying trend, sales are like this. Now there's a caveat, and they might not be like this next year. I'll tell you at the end of this video as well. Let's talk about maybe 3 cons. Okay, number one is, the biggest problem is people choose people or patients that are not good candidates. So someone with too much loose skin, someone who's hypersensitive in terms of lifting threads, you can feel them. It's a big procedure. You can feel them in the face for 3 to 4 weeks. Some people go crazy and they can't take that. Some people are like, nope, no problem. I feel them, but I know that they're going to last long and look good. Let's go into a con number 2, which we might say longevity. Well, they don't last. Botox lasts 3 months. Now, threads are going through more of a procedure, granted, but most people in my practice, because I'm using combinations, will repeat lifting threads only every year to 18 months. And for most people, that's fine. And if they start with 12 to 18 threads, some reverse vectors, some in the front of the face, and they have to repeat half of that in a year to 18 months, maybe 2 years, they're very happy. So while, yes, it's not permanent, it's not a facelift, but it is a facelift killer, and that would be a con. Meaning, let's say that you're a plastic surgeon, you want to do facelifts, and I come to you, and I go, you know what, I was thinking about having plastic surgery, and you go, yeah, you know, you're going to have a downtime of maybe 1 to 2 months, social downtime, 4 months. People would still know you've done something, so think of 6 months. I go, you know what? I don't know. I'll get back to you. I research threads. I go get a thread lift. And that holds me over for a year or 2. You've just killed that opportunity for that person to sell a facelift. And the facelift, of course, costs 30 to 50 grand. The threads are going to cost you about $2,500 for 12 threads, maybe a little more. So that would be a con. At least it's a con for the plastic surgeon who just lost a sale, and that's why you see a lot of them spread FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt for their own self-advantage. I think another con is that in aesthetics in generally, the demand for procedures has outpaced the training, meaning we don't have enough skilled people. You have to be very skilled to get a good thread lift. So let's say there's 40,000 injectors in the United States. There's probably about 1,000 who are very good at it. And when I said I'll get back to the numbers, here's what I project. Less people will be doing lifting threads next year. More people will do smooth, but the lifting ones that most people contend, a lot of people will drop out from doing them because they're frustrated. You need to persevere, and you need to have a great skill set. You're putting a cannula 18 gauge along the face with a thread. I'd say another con for the threads is you need to know what you're putting in. I use Nova threads, great threads made in the USA. They're strong. Most people don't want to pay the money maybe for those threads. They get a second, third tier thread. That thread doesn't lift. It doesn't last. So it gets a bad press out there because people are using bad threads that don't last. Let's go through a myth. People say, well, they produce scar tissue. Well, everything produces scar tissue. That's how we build collagen. Create inflammation, histiocytes, lymphocytes go in, you produce type 1 and 3 collagen, And what is scar tissue? It's deposition of collagen in irregular layers. So yes, but what produces the most amount of scar tissue that you can get, and unfortunately visible scars? A facelift. Why? One of the big complications of facelift, especially in a male if they lose hair, but also in a female, is that the tragus, the ear, doesn't look right. You see the scar in front of the ear, or the ear just doesn't look proper. It's tucked in, and then you can get the scar along the hairline, you get a scar up here, and if you really want to know if someone has a facelift, it's not even hidden. You can look under here, because most people get a neck lift, platysmoplasty, their neck addressed at the same time as a facelift. Look under here, you'll see a scar, and then of course you reoppose the tissue. So a facelift produces much more scar tissue, and unfortunately visible scar tissue, than a thread lift or biostimulators like Sculptra and so on. So another myth would be you can't get a facelift after a thread lift. Well, that's untrue, and if you want to see in this channel, I have interviews with Beverly Hills plastic surgeons, and another plastic surgeon in Dallas does a lot of facelifts, and they also do, well, a couple of them, 2 out of the 3, do thread lifts. So a lot of plastic surgeons do thread lifts because they want to hold that patient over, and they don't want them to send them to another clinic that gets the thread lift and then never does the facelift because they lose that patient to follow up. So a lot of plastic surgeons will provide thread lifts in this country. Now, here's an article from Dr. Lawrence, and this is a great article, and let's look and see what he says about thread lifts. Keep in mind, he's a board-certified plastic surgeon, very well respected on Park Avenue in New York, and he does study with 6 months follow-up. Here you see a picture of the 3D imaging that's done with Canfield. I use Quantificare, very similar. And here's his conclusion. Skin lifting with incisionless, so that's the beauty of it. There is no incision. You don't have to cut. You put it in through a small opening. Barbed PDO sutures, which what we're talking about, is a safe and effective treatment option for patients presenting with mild to moderate symptoms of facial aging. Again, patient selection. Satisfactory aesthetic results can be obtained with the proper selection of patients presenting with mild to moderate symptoms and signs. Additional critical factors are the choice of appropriate barbed suture. What did I just say? An introduction technique, as well as careful anatomical positioning of the targeted treatment areas, coupled with knowledge of skin properties, realistic assessment, the achievable degree of correction. All amazing points. Side effects are typically mild and short lasting. This is what people don't like about them. They're a threat because, what I say, everyone wants quick. Although a minimal risk of asymmetry exists, this can be further minimized by using proper technique. And you can always go back and correct them. There's many ways to correct these. And they dissolve over time. Nothing's permanent. If you get surgery, you lose a facial nerve, you have asymmetry, you see a scar, that's permanent. That's the problem. That's why facelift surgeons typically don't get facelifts. In conclusion, compared with with more invasive procedures, the utilization of free-floating PDO sutures is associated with, look at this, high levels of patient satisfaction. This is a clinical trial. Clinically demonstrable aesthetic effects, so we saw 3D imaging he used, lasting for up to 6 months. Now you have to stop a study at 6 months, or at some point, in this case 6 months. Now remember Restylane, I was around for the launch of Restylane, 2003, that for the longest time it had a 6-month approval. Then they did a piggyback study, they added a little bit more, went for an 18-month approval. So 6 months is very standard in the industry. And everyone's happy at 6 months, which meant the results keep going. Low complication rate. These outcomes have been further supported here by statistically significant objective, so that's not just subjective, meaning like I'm saying you look good. These are objective, meaning they use Canfield 3D imaging, resulting from a markerless tracking analysis, and that's the 3D software. So are threads going to live in 2023? Absolutely. Are sales skyrocketing? Absolutely, especially smooths. And you will see a consolidation of maybe fewer people doing them, but highly skilled people doing more and more. Remember, it's a threat to some people and some services. For me, I added in with Sculptra, with Plasma Sculpt, with PRF, with fillers, with neuromodulators, chemical peels, RF, everything we do. I want your opinion. What do you think? I put a complete video up here on Threadless, one down here on skincare that you can do at home. Keep your skin and body beautiful, healthy, and vibrant.